And thank you all for joining us for today's presentation. My name is Marissa, an attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina's Helpline. Today, we have Aaron presenting for us. If you are unfamiliar with the format of this event, first, Aaron is going to review a PowerPoint presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. If at any point during the presentation you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A box on Zoom or the comments section on Facebook. We'll review all questions put in the chat boxes during the Q&A session at the end. Please remember that this is a public forum and Legal Aid is not representing you at this time. Aaron will go over this in more detail, but please remember to keep your questions as general as possible as we cannot provide any legal advice specific to your individual situation. The session will end when there are no more questions, and regardless of where we are, we will have a hard stop at 2:00 p.m. With all that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Aaron to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Marissa. My name is Aaron. I'm an attorney at Legal Aid of North Carolina, and I'm an attorney with our Medicaid advocacy team, which just happens to be the topic of the day. I want to talk about the work that we do on the Medicaid advocacy team at Legal Aid and how we can help individuals like you who are watching this presentation or any individuals you may know who could benefit from the sort of legal advocacy that we do on the Medicaid team. So the reason that we were created is that the state of North Carolina had decided to go from what was called a fee-for-service model to a managed care organization model. So fee-for-service, which is the previous format generally that Medicaid had in the state of North Carolina, meant that the Department of Health and Human Services administered a majority of Medicaid benefits for all beneficiaries across the state. A managed care organization model means that these managed care organizations, so some of these entities who are either for-profits or nonprofit organizations, they were the ones who would manage a majority of Medicaid benefits for individuals who qualify for those Medicaid benefits in North Carolina. Now, Legal Aid was concerned that these Medicaid patients with this change in systems in the state could be affected and could be that services could be provided in a different way that could affect our state's most vulnerable and underserved individuals, and that they could face more barriers to accessing the medically necessary care that they needed than previously. So we created our team at Legal Aid of North Carolina, which started in 2021, which is exactly when this shift to Medicaid managed care occurred. And we've been in place now for almost 4 years, dedicating all of our services to North Carolina Medicaid beneficiaries. And we get our legal referrals from a number of organizations, and then I'll talk about each of these in more detail as the presentation goes on. Now, who are we at Legal Aid's Medicaid advocacy team? We're 6 attorneys, 1 paralegal, and we serve the entire state. So all 100 counties across the entire state, we provide services for. So that means anyone who's living in North Carolina who is a Medicaid beneficiary or who could be a Medicaid beneficiary and is having their rights or having denials of services or whatever it is, they absolutely should contact us and we could see if we can provide assistance. Now, what is the exact work that we do? There's kind of 2 separate groups here. There's the group of people who are not currently receiving Medicaid benefits, but could be eligible for those benefits. So they were either denied their application for Medicaid, or they had Medicaid and those services were terminated or reduced. We can assist in representing those individuals on appeal to make sure that their rights are heard and that they are receiving the benefits that they actually are eligible for. Now, the other group of people are people who are currently receiving Medicaid benefits. So they've already been considered eligible and they are receiving those benefits. Now, there's a long list of services that are supposed to be covered by Medicaid health insurance. Many of those services require prior authorizations, which is essentially trying to show why it's medically necessary for that individual who's asking for the services to be provided to them, why it's medically necessary for them to receive those services. Now, the Department of Health and Human Services and these other managed care organizations who administer Medicaid benefits, they get to make the decision of whether those services are approved or not to then be provided by the hospital or the doctors or the medical professionals involved. A lot of those decisions are denials or partial denials of those services, and we assist Medicaid beneficiaries in appealing those decisions made by the health insurance and the department, and we will provide representation in those denials to try to get them to be approved. We also, another big area that we assist with is with medical billing. So medical debt that's either gone to collections or that is incurred by the Medicaid beneficiary but shouldn't have been. And again, this is just medical debt for individuals who currently have Medicaid benefits. And I just want to talk briefly about what Medicaid looks like in North Carolina so everyone knows what they should be looking for of whether to refer themselves or someone else you know to receive our assistance, our legal assistance. No, so Medicaid is a federal and state funded health insurance program. And currently, there are more than 3 million North Carolinians receiving some form of Medicaid coverage in North Carolina. The major eligibility criteria is that you have to be a resident of the state of North Carolina. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a qualified non-citizen. Uh, and then there is a specific category that you will likely have to be to meet in order to receive those benefits. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slide. And then you also have to meet income and possibly resource criteria. So the income criteria is that your monthly or annual income has to be below a certain percentage of the federal poverty level in order to receive full Medicaid benefits. And for some programs, you also have to have resources or assets that are countable, which not all assets are countable, but they have to be below a threshold as well, according to the rules. And if there's ever any concern or question about what that looks like for any individual, always please contact us and we can take a look at it if you have been denied Medicaid to see if you should be eligible for those services. So here are some of the major categories of Medicaid eligibility. There are a ton of categories, around 30 or so, that can make someone eligible for Medicaid, but these are the most common ones. It's for people who are infants and children under 21, so minors, individuals who are pregnant and their postpartum care, parents or caretaker relatives who have children under the age of 18 in their household, individuals who are this last next category is the age blind and disabled, so individuals of a certain age and individuals who are blind or have specific disabilities. And then the most recent category is called the expanded category, or as you might have heard, Medicaid expansion, which just went into place December of 2023, and it allows essentially expands the eligibility rules so that a whole list of number of people will now be eligible for their services. And I'm going to talk right now about what that expansion eligibility looks like. So again, you have to be a resident of North Carolina. You have to be between the ages of 19 and 64. You have to be, again, a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, but you don't have to meet any other category of the categories we were just discussing before. The only thing you have to have is income that is below 138% of the federal poverty level. We have 133 plus 5. That's a very weird federal rule. But what it really just equals is 138. So as long as your income is below 138% of the federal poverty level and you meet the rest of the eligibility criteria, then you should be eligible for full Medicaid under expansion. The only caveat is that if you're receiving Medicare, you cannot get Medicaid under this eligibility requirement. You can still receive Medicaid but you have to meet one of the other categories that we discussed and have the specific income threshold in order to meet that. So, what does it look like to have Medicaid in North Carolina? First of all, as we were discussing before, you are likely to be in a managed care delivery model. So, 90% of beneficiaries are in this managed care standard plan, which is essentially a plan that is administered by one of the big health insurance companies like United Healthcare, Healthy Blue, which is connected to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then there are a few other nonprofit health insurance entities too that have a large national presence, but are also in North Carolina. You will be having annual recertifications to determine that you are still eligible for Medicaid. So every year you have to prove that you still meet the requirements to be eligible for Medicaid, especially that income requirement. And then when you receive Medicaid, you are getting comprehensive medical coverage. So that includes prescriptions, doctor's visits, hospital stays, vision care, dental care, medical equipment, home health services, home and community-based services, services for some people who would otherwise be institutionalized if they didn't receive those services, so they can get those services at home. Some of you might know that when you receive Medicare, so we're talking about Medicaid, but if you're receiving Medicare, you don't quite get the same comprehensive coverage as you would with Medicaid, which is really supposed to meet all of your medical care needs, including your physical health needs and your mental health needs. I just want to talk a little bit since I am talking about the Medicaid advocacy team at Legal Aid. This is the kind of heart of what we do to help individuals get what they need. So on the left side, it's eligibility denials. So that's for people who are trying to become eligible for Medicaid, but were denied by their Department of Social Services. And this here is the process of what we go through to help people become eligible who have been denied. And it shows that there's a number of hearings. It can even go all the way up to the county court and beyond if the denials are still occurring and the appeals are still happening. On the right side are those service denials. So those people who are already receiving Medicaid benefits and have requested a specific service to be covered by their Medicaid coverage, but it was denied by either that managed care organization or the Department of Health and Human Services. And so here it's showing the process that we would go through as well if the denial decision continues and we keep appealing it and the various hearings, mediations, and eventually there's a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. And if the decision is still not what we think it should be, then that would also go to the county court and potentially beyond. And this here is a lot of the work that we do at Legal Aid of North Carolina when someone who believes they should be eligible for Medicaid or believe they requested a service that was denied that should be covered by Medicaid contacts us. And these are the major ways that we get people to be referred to us. The largest one is the one on the right here, which is the North Carolina Medicaid Ombudsman. They are a fantastic organization contracted through the state of North Carolina where they can address so many various concerns that Medicaid beneficiaries have, and they can resolve things in ways that we can't due to the partnerships that they have with counties and with the state and with the different Medicaid administered plans. So they were always the first people to contact, and their phone number is 1-877-201-3750. So I would absolutely recommend anyone to contact them before they would even contact us. And the important thing to note is that if they cannot resolve the matter that comes to them, which they almost always are able to resolve that, but if they aren't able to, and what is the issue is legal in nature, they will then refer it directly to us. So we will still be able to uh, hear about your situation and try to help you, even if you contact them first. You would never even have to contact us. On the left side of the screen is the North Carolina Navigator Consortium. Now, what most people know the navigators to be able to do is to help apply for a federal marketplace or Obamacare insurance. So this is an insurance level for people who usually have incomes that are too high for Medicaid. And so instead they would potentially qualify for various tax credits to still receive health insurance through the Affordable Care Act or the marketplace, and they would contact the navigator in order to get signed up for that insurance. The really great thing is that North Carolina's system for applying for federal marketplace insurance can now determine eligibility for Medicaid as well. This is brand new, just happened a year ago. So even if you're not sure what you qualify for, the system that the navigator uses should be able to determine whether you're eligible for Medicaid, and if so, then it'll send your information to your county Department of Social Services, who is supposed to process that application and give you a final decision about that. If you're not eligible for Medicaid, then the navigators will show that you are eligible for a federal marketplace insurance and explain to you what your monthly costs will be for that. And then the other great thing is that Legal Aid also has a partnership with the Navigator Consortium, that if there are any issues when it comes to Medicaid benefits being denied, they will directly refer those situations to my team at Legal Aid as well. So we're also able to get cases that way as well. And then on the bottom right is a link to ncmedhelp.org. And that's just a fantastic site for if you're not sure exactly what sort of help you need or who to reach out to get that help, then you can go to this website. It has a lot of great information and also has a lot of great information about legal entities in the state who could help you with your situation. And so that is all that I have today, talking about our team, the Medicaid advocacy team at Legal Aid of North Carolina, but happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Awesome. And so, as Aaron mentioned, if you have a question, you need to post those either in the Q&A box on Zoom or the comment section on Facebook. You cannot unmute in this forum. And so I'm not seeing any questions at the moment. So just going to give a few moments here to see if any questions pop up.
Great.
All right. As I am not seeing any questions, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to all of us for joining, with a special thank you to Aaron for presenting for us. If you would like to review any of the information that was discussed today, we have posted a recording of today's event to our Facebook. It will be immediately available. You can access this recording with or without a Facebook account at www.facebook.com/legalaidnc. If you would like to register for one of our other Listen and Learn programs, such as child custody, simple divorce, tenant rights, you can do so on our website at www.legalaidnc.org/clinics. Thank you all so much, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their afternoon.
Great. Thank you.